Do you believe the life you live today is a direct result of your choices? What if I told you that 90% of what you believe about money, success, and happiness is a lie? Yes, a lie. And worse, these lies are keeping you trapped, even after 50, even after everything you've experienced. Now imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering everything you've learned about working hard, retiring, and living peacefully was wrong. How would you feel? Anger, fear, or relief at finally finding the truth? I want you to stop now and look at your life, not what you tell others, not the image you project on social media, but your real results. They don't lie. They never have. Ask yourself, am I living the way I've always wanted? This question may seem simple, but it's one of the hardest to answer honestly. Because the truth is harsh, and we often run from it. But I want you to face it head on, because that's the only way to change. Look at your bank account. It tells the truth. Look at your health, your energy, the sparkle in your eyes when you wake up. All of this reveals the truth about the life you've been building. If these results aren't exactly what you dreamed of, then I need you to understand one thing. It's not the economy's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not your age. It's the fault of the mental programming you've carried within you since childhood. But before I talk about that, I need you to acknowledge something with me. The results you have today are the exact reflection of your past beliefs and decisions. Is it hard to hear? I know, but it's the truth. I lived this same truth. When I was 26, I worked as a firefighter, earning $4,000 a year and owing $6,000. Understand this. If I took every cent I earned for a year and a half, I still wouldn't have paid my debts. It was a dead end. At least that's what I thought. And you know what I did? The same thing many people do today. I woke up every day, went to work, and hoped things would get better on their own. I never stopped to think that I could change my results. Never. Because no one had taught me that. Now think with me, how many times have you caught yourself saying, that's just the way it is. Life is hard. There's nothing you can do. How many times have you looked at someone successful and thought they got lucky? They were born into a wealthy family. It's not for me. And while you think that, time passes. You follow the same routine, trapped in the same cycle, hoping something will change without changing anything. Doesn't it sound familiar? Let me tell you something. I only changed when someone asked me the same question I'm asking you now. He looked at me and said, Bob, why don't you change your results? And you know what I answered? Nothing, because I had never thought about it. Never. And that's where the shock lies. Most people live 50, 60, 70 years without ever questioning why their results don't change. And they don't change because you keep doing the same things, thinking the same things, believing the same lies they taught you as a child. Now let me ask you, do you really believe working harder will solve it? How many people do you know who work day and night and remain broke, and studying more? How many people have degrees, titles, certificates, and still worry about money? So why do you think it would be different for you? It's harsh, I know, but it's necessary to hear this. Your current results are proof of your paradigm. They are like a mirror that reflects exactly what is happening inside you. If you want to change that reflection, it's no use breaking the mirror. You need to change the image being projected, and that image is formed by your beliefs, your habits, your way of thinking. I know this can be uncomfortable, and I want it to be, because discomfort is a sign of growth. And if you've come this far, it's because a part of you knows you can do more, that you deserve more. Now I want you to do something simple yet powerful. Take a piece of paper now and write this sentence. Do my results reflect the life of my dreams? And be brutally honest in your answer. If the answer is no, congratulations. You've just taken the first step to change everything. When I did this for the first time, I realized I was living far below my potential. It was a shock, but it was also liberating, because I understood that if my results depended on me, then I could change them. And I did. I went from being in debt to earning $175,000 in a year, then over 1 million. Not because I got smarter, not because I got lucky, but because I changed the way I thought. And I'll tell you something. If I could do it, without formal education, without experience, without money, you can too. The question is, are you willing to look at your results and acknowledge that they are merely a reflection of your programming? Because only when you do that can you begin to rewrite your story. Now answer me. Will you continue to believe that it's impossible to change? Or will you have the courage to face the truth and start now? Because the truth is simple. Results don't lie. They never have. And if they're not as you want them, it's time to change the course. Do you believe you make decisions because you want to? That every choice you've made to this day has been the result of your free will? It wasn't. I know this sounds absurd, but it's the purest truth. Most of what you do, think, and feel every day is not the result of your conscious will. It's the result of your paradigm. Now let me explain what this is in a simple way. A paradigm is a set of beliefs, habits, and patterns that were placed inside you without your permission when you were still a child. From the first years of your life, everything you heard, money doesn't grow on trees, work hard and one day you'll retire peacefully, accept life as it is, all of this entered your subconscious mind and became fixed there. You didn't question it because you didn't have the capacity to do so, and this paradigm came to control everything. Want to see how powerful it is? Think about the times you decided to do something different, like starting a business, changing careers, investing in yourself. What happened? A lot of thoughts started appearing. What if it goes wrong? What if I lose everything? I'm not good at this. I'm too old for this. That's not you speaking. That's the paradigm reacting to keep you in the safe place. It's like an autopilot that controls 96% of your daily actions without you realizing it. You think you're the master of your life, but it's your paradigm that's driving the car. And you know what the worst part is? This paradigm isn't interested in your happiness or your success. It just wants to keep you exactly where you are now, because that's what it knows. It's like a thermostat. No matter how much you raise the temperature for a while, it will work to return to the old point. That's why so many people even earn a little more, but soon after return to the same financial level. That's why you can take a course, be motivated for a few days, and suddenly you're repeating the same habits. I experienced this firsthand. When that man introduced me to the book, Think and Grow Rich, I was broke, full of debt. But when I started reading, something inside me rebelled. I thought, this isn't possible. If it were that simple, everyone would do it. It was my paradigm fighting for survival. It didn't want to die, and I had to fight against it. Because it's not easy to change something that's been inside you for 40, 50 years. It's like trying to change the direction of a huge ship. It takes time, but it's possible. Now, I want you to think about the areas of your life where you feel trapped. It could be money, it could be health, it could be relationships. Have you ever wondered why, even wanting to change, you keep doing the same things? Why do you go back to the same patterns? It's because your paradigm is stronger than your conscious will. It dictates what you do, and you don't even realize it. And here's a shocking fact. Research shows that more than 90% of the decisions we make are automatic, based on unconscious habits and beliefs. In other words, you live on autopilot. And you know what the good news is? A habit was created, and any habit can be changed. But for that, you need to reprogram your mind. You need to teach your subconscious to work in your favor. Now let me ask you a question. How many times have you dreamed of a better life and after a few minutes thought, this isn't for me? How many times have you seen someone achieve something great and said to yourself, I could never do that? That's your paradigm speaking. It's the voice that says you can't, that it's too late, that you weren't born for that. It's the villain you didn't even know you had. And from today on, you're going to start silencing that voice. You know how? By starting to plant new ideas in place of the old ones. When I decided I was going to change, I wrote every day how I wanted my life to be. I saw myself rich, traveling the world, speaking to thousands of people. At first it seemed like a lie, but gradually my subconscious began to believe. And when that happens, everything changes. I want you to do this now. Take a piece of paper and write in large letters, I control my life. I am no longer a slave to my paradigm. Read this aloud every day, morning and night. It seems simple, but it's powerful. Because every time you repeat this with emotion, you're sending a new command to your subconscious. You're planting a new seed, and if you keep watering it, it will grow. Now tell me, will you continue letting a system you didn't choose control your life? Or will you take charge and create a new paradigm that takes you where you truly want to be? Because let me give you a heads up. If you don't do this, nothing changes. Nothing. You can watch 1,000 videos, read 100 books, but if you don't shift your paradigm, you'll keep living the same old life. The choice is yours. Let me ask you something. Do you believe school prepared you for life? That all those years sitting at a desk taught you how to build wealth, to be free, to live with purpose? If you believe that, then explain to me why most of the people you know, and maybe even you, have studied for years, have diplomas, have taken courses, yet still worry about money, are stuck in jobs they hate, and live in fear of the future. I'll tell you something that maybe no one has ever said. School was never designed to teach you to be rich, free, and fulfilled. Never. It was created to teach you obedience, to teach you to follow orders, to teach you to fit into an assembly line and work for someone else's dreams. And that's not my opinion, it's historical fact. The modern education system was born during the Industrial Revolution, when factories needed people to operate machines. They didn't want entrepreneurs, creators, thinkers. They wanted people who showed up on time, followed rules, and didn't question anything. Now think with me. How many classes did you have about money in school? How many times did a teacher explain how to create multiple streams of income, how to invest, how to make money work for you? None. But you learned how to calculate the square root of 64, didn't you? What for? To impress someone? To feel intelligent for 5 minutes? No, that doesn't change your life. And here's the big trap. You grew up believing that the more you studied, the more titles you had, the richer and happier you would be. That's one of the biggest lies ever told to you. Because if that were true, those with the most diplomas would have the most money. And you know that's not the case. How many brilliant teachers do you know who are in debt? How many professionals with masters and doctoral degrees do you know who are counting pennies at the end of the month? Meanwhile, people without even a high school diploma are building empires. Why? Because school gave you knowledge, but it never taught you how to use that knowledge to create wealth. It never taught you how to think. And that's what revolts me the most. Because I also believed that lie. I also thought I had no future because I didn't have an education. I dropped out of high school after 2 months and carried that around like a life sentence. I believed I was doomed to bad jobs, low wages, and debt forever. And you know what happened? That's exactly what I lived, until someone showed me that it was all a sham, that I didn't need more titles, I needed to change my mind. Let me ask you, how many books have you read? How many courses have you taken? And why hasn't anything really changed? I'll give you the answer now, because school trained you to believe that knowing is enough, but knowing doesn't change anything. You can know everything about diet and still be overweight. You can know everything about business and still be broke, because it's not knowledge that changes your results. It's your paradigm. It's what you do with what you know. I want you to do something now. Close your eyes and imagine what your perfect life would be like. No limits, no fear, no programming telling you it's not possible. How much money would you have in your account? Where would you live? What would your day be like? Do this for 2 minutes, and then ask yourself, why am I not living like this now? The answer is simple: because of programming that school put into you and that you never questioned. But that ends today. From now on, you're going to start learning for real. You're going to learn to reprogram your mind, to build new habits, to build the life you deserve. Because it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how long you've believed this lie. You can change now. The choice is yours. This text has emotional impact, strong questions, a personal example, examples of famous people, a practical challenge, and a deconstruction of the audience's beliefs, maintaining an intense narrative without seeming to follow rules. Did you know that your mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what you imagine? This may seem impossible, but it's a fact. When you visualize something intensely, when you put emotion into it, your brain reacts as if it were already happening. It triggers the same signals, activates the same hormones, creates the same neural connections. Now think with me, if your mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what you imagine, what happens when you spend all day thinking about debt, lack of money, problems? It starts creating more of it. You attract more of what you don't want, because that's what you're feeding your subconscious. And if you think this is nonsense, let me give you a real-world example. Harvard University conducted a study with 2 groups of people who wanted to learn to play the piano. One group practiced physically on the instrument. The other group didn't touch a key. They only imagined playing every day. And do you know what the result was? After 5 days, the brain connections of both groups had changed almost the same way. Do you understand this? People who only imagined had practically the same result as those who actually practiced. This isn't magic, it's science. Now think about the power you have in your hands. If you start imagining every day the life you want to live, with clarity, with emotion, as if it were already real, you are literally reprogramming your brain to believe it. And when your subconscious believes, it starts looking for ways to turn it into reality. But do you know what the problem is? Most people do exactly the opposite. They spend hours visualizing everything they don't want. They imagine themselves sick, worried about bills, trapped in problems, and the more they think about it, the more they fuel the paradigm that keeps them trapped. That's why so many people say, "I knew it was going to go wrong." Of course you knew. You imagined it so many times that your subconscious worked to confirm that idea. A year later, I was living exactly what I imagined. And not because a miracle happened, but because I changed what was happening inside me. I re-educated my mind. Now let me give you another example to prove that this isn't just something I'm making up. Oprah Winfrey. You've heard her story. She grew up poor, went through unimaginable hardships, and still built an empire. Do you know what she herself says? That from a very young age, she imagined herself living a grand life, surrounded by opportunities, influencing people. Before any camera pointed at her, Oprah already saw herself there. She created this image in her mind and kept it until it became reality. And it's not just inspiring stories. Research shows that high-performance athletes use visualization before major competitions. They don't just rely on their physical abilities, they trust in the power of their minds. Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer in history, said that before each race, he saw himself swimming perfectly, coming in first place. Every detail. And when he got into the pool, it was like he was repeating something that had already happened in his mind. Now, let me ask you, are you using this power or wasting it? Are you imagining the life you want or reinforcing the life you don't want? Because there's no empty space. If you don't program your mind with images of what you desire, the world will program you with images of what you fear. So I want you to do a simple but powerful exercise. Tonight, before you go to sleep, close your eyes and see yourself living exactly the life you desire. See the details, the house, the car, the trips, the people around you, the smile on your face, and feel as if it's already happening. Because when you feel, you activate emotion, and emotion is the language of the subconscious. Do this every day, and you'll start to notice changes, small at first, but they'll grow. And it doesn't stop there. Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first book at 65 years old. Vera Wang entered the fashion world at 40 and created an empire after 50. And I can give you more examples, but what I really want you to understand is this. Age is not the problem. The problem is the mindset you carry. Now I'm going to say something that might hurt. If you believe you're too old to change, it's because you've accepted this lie and settled. And while you convince yourself of this, there are people your age or older starting businesses, learning new things, completely changing their lives. So tell me, will you continue using age as an excuse not to try? When I was 26 years old and broke, someone told me I could change my life. I didn't believe it, but I decided to try. Now I ask you, if I, without education, without experience, without money, managed to build a life that I didn't even believe was possible, why couldn't you, with everything you've already lived and learned, do the same? But I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have enough time to enjoy it? That's another lie. Time isn't a matter of quantity. It's a matter of intensity. I know people who lived 80 years without really living, and others who lived their last 10 years with so much intensity that it was worth a lifetime. What matters is how you decide to live from now on. I want you to do something right now. Stop for a minute and ask yourself, if I were absolutely certain that it's not too late, what would I do? Write your answer. Now look at it. That's your next step, because the only barrier is in your mind. And you know the truth? It's never too late. Never want a challenge. For the next 7 days, every morning, look in the mirror and say out loud, I am in the best moment of my life. I can start now. I can do anything. Sound simple? Sound silly? Maybe. But that's precisely what starts to reprogram your thinking. Because as long as you keep telling yourself it's too late, nothing will happen. Your life perfectly reflects what's going on in your mind. If your results aren't what you want, it's not because of a lack of opportunity. It's not because the government isn't helping. It's not because you're over 50. It's because you remain the same person with the same beliefs, the same habits, the same decisions. And if you don't change that, you can sit and wait for the rest of your life, because nothing will happen. You know what I see most? People with heads full of information, but lives empty of results. People who know what to do, but don't do it. Why? Because they haven't changed their paradigm. It controls everything, your actions, your thoughts, your emotions. As long as the paradigm remains the same, the results will remain the same. It's useless. I've experienced this firsthand. I thought I needed to work harder to earn more. I thought I needed to study more to succeed. I believed life was hard and that only a lucky few could win. And guess what I reaped? Exactly that. Hard work, little money, debt and frustration. And only when someone showed me that the change had to start within me did everything change. I want you to do this now. I want you to tell yourself, I will not live another day of my life being who I was. Today, I change. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, not when things get better. Today, now, because your life won't wait for you. And you know what happens when you make that decision? The universe conspires in your favor. That's right. Opportunities start to appear. The right people cross your path. New situations open up, but none of that will happen if you sit around waiting for a sign. The sign is this moment. It's you, right now, listening to this. So I ask you, will you continue living the same way? Complaining about the same problems, repeating the same excuses? Or will you put a stop to it and take responsibility for the life you've always wanted? because nobody will do it for you. Not me, not your friends, not your family, only you. Now answer me honestly, if not now, when? If you don't make this decision today, what will be different a year from now? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Unless you change. So decide. Decide now. Because when you change, everything changes. And I promise you, the life you want is waiting on the other side of that decision. But you need to cross over. Will you? Now, if there's something I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Nothing changes on the outside until you change on the inside. No matter how old you are, no matter what has happened until today, you carry within you a power capable of transforming everything. And the first step is simple, yet powerful. To decide. You've already taken that step just by being here. Now it's time to continue. The next video is right there on the screen, and in it, you'll climb another step on this journey. You'll become 1% better than you are now, and that's what makes the difference. Thank you for being with me until now. I'll see you in the next video, and I know you'll love what's coming next.